In the endless depths of time, before the world was shaped by the hands of the Valar, and even before the dawn of the Eldar, there existed the Void, a black expanse where the songs of the Ainur resonated in the deep recesses of the nothingness. From that song, everything began, for within it was the echo of creation itself, the blueprint of existence and the seeds of all that would come to pass. Among the Ainur, mighty spirits who sang this song, was one of great cunning and beauty, Mairon, later to be known by a name that would strike terror into the hearts of all living beings, Sauron. Even in his earliest days, Mairon was unlike his brethren. While others revelled in the symphony of creation, basking in the harmony and glory of Eru Iluvatar's design, Mairon's mind was bent towards order and perfection. His thoughts were like a forge, constantly shaping, refining, and building. He was obsessed with symmetry, with the flawless execution of power and control. Though he did not yet know darkness, the seeds of his later fall were present even then. A desire not just to create, but to dominate, and not just to bring forth life, but to bind it to his will. In the depths of the timeless halls, as the Ainur gazed upon the void, Melkor, the mightiest of the Ainur, sowed discord into the music, yearning to bend it to his own design. Many of the Ainur recoiled in dismay, but not Mairon. The discord fascinated him. It was raw, unfiltered power, a means to an end. He saw in Melkor's rebellious melody a potential to bring about the order and perfection he so craved, albeit through methods that were unthinkable to the others. And so, when the music ceased and the vision of Arda was revealed, Mairon gravitated towards Melkor. It was not a sudden shift, but a gradual seduction, a descent into darkness masked by the allure of power. Melkor promised a world where Mairon's thirst for control could be satisfied, where his skills could be honed into weapons of conquest. In Melkor, he saw a kindred spirit, one who understood the need to dominate, to impose will upon the chaos of the creations. Under Melkor's influence, Mairon's brilliance became tainted, his desire for order twisted into a desire for tyranny, and his need for perfection corrupted into a hunger for absolute power. When Melkor descended into the world of Arda, bringing with him chaos and fire, Mairon was at his side. It was here that he began to craft his true identity, shedding his former self as Mairon and embracing the darkness that Melkor offered. In the hidden recesses of Angband, the fortress of iron and shadow, Mairon delved into the forbidden arts. He learned to weave spells of binding, to craft tools of torment, and to forge weapons of unimaginable cruelty. In the forges of Angband, he became Sauron, the Abhorred, the Dreadlord, the necromancer whose name became synonymous with fear. The fires of the earth became his to command, and the molten depths obeyed his every whim. Through cunning and manipulation, Sauron ensnared many lesser spirits, binding them to his will, crafting a legion of monsters and abominations to serve Melkor's dark purpose. He became the lieutenant of Morgoth, the Dark Lord's right hand, and in his service, Sauron unleashed horrors upon the world that had never before been conceived. Yet for all his newfound power, there was a part of Sauron that remained tormented. The perfection he sought was still out of reach. The world was still marred by imperfection, by the rebelliousness of life, and by the free will of those who dared defy him. This realization festered in Sauron's heart, turning his ambition into a ravenous beast. He became a master of deception, a lord of gifts, who would seduce the hearts of men and elves alike, twisting their desires to serve his ends. Before his full descent into shadow, Myron had been a Maia of Aule the Smith, one of the great Valar who delighted in crafting and creation. Under Aule's tutelage, Myron learned the arts of shaping matter, of bending metal and stone to his will. It was a time of innocence, where Myron's desire for order found an outlet in the creation of beautiful and intricate things. But this beauty was fleeting, a mere shadow of what was to come. For when Sauron looked upon his creations with the eyes of his darkened soul, he saw only imperfection. His works were finite, bound by the limitations of the physical world. They were but echoes of the true power he sought, the power to dominate not just matter, but the very essence of life itself. This realization drove Sauron to betray everything he had learned from Aule. He turned his back on the light, seeking out the dark art that Aule had forbidden. He delved into the secrets of life and death, seeking to master the mysteries that even the Valar dared not touch. It was a betrayal not just of Aule, but of all Myron had once stood for. But in his quest for perfection, Sauron embraced corruption, sacrificing his own soul in the process. Yet despite these transformations into the Dark Lord's most fierce servant, echoes of Myron still lingered within Sauron. He was not like Melkor, who sought to destroy for the sake of destruction, for Sauron's evil was far more insidious. He desired to bring order, but an order defined by his iron will. A world where all would bow to him, where every thought, every action, was a reflection of his own dark vision. It was this twisted desire for control that led Sauron to create the Rings of Power. In those dark days, he donned the fair guise of Anatar, the Lord of Gifts, and came to the elves with knowledge and power. He seduced them with promises of greatness, teaching them the craft of ring-making, yet even as they forged the rings, Sauron crafted his own in secret, a master ring that would bind all others to his will. In the fires of Mount Doom, Sauron poured his malice, his ambition, and the last vestiges of Myron's spirit into the One Ring. It was a culmination of all his darkest desires, a tool of absolute control, capable of bending the wills of the mightiest beings to his own. With it he would become the true Lord of Middle-earth, and the ruler of all that lived. Sauron's early life was a descent, a transformation from the brilliant Myron, servant of Aule, into the dread Lord Sauron, servant of darkness. His story is one of corruption, of the slow, insidious twisting of a mind consumed by the desire for perfection and control. It is a tale of horror, not just because of the evil deeds he committed, but because of the monstrous transformation of a once great spirit into a figure of unimaginable dread. As Sauron's power grew, so too did his malevolence. He became a shadow that loomed over all of Middle-earth, a name whispered in fear by all who knew him. His fall from grace was complete, and in his wake he left a legacy of terror and destruction that would echo through the ages. For Sauron was no mere tyrant. He was a being of pure malice, a dark will incarnate, and his early life was but the prelude to the horrors that he would unleash upon the world. And so, from the forges of Angband to the fires of Mount Doom, Sauron's journey was one of darkness and despair. A journey that would see him rise as the greatest villain of Middle-earth, a being of such terror that even the bravest souls will tremble at the mere mention of his name. His early life is a story of lost potential, of a brilliant mind consumed by the darkest of desires, and of a spirit that became the embodiment of horror itself.